All right. I'm down here on the Charles River, and essentially this is video number 2. We're in Boston right now, and we actually have a perfect example of definitely something that you implement immediately, and it's about getting things done. I just came from this amazing class that's taught by this guy, David Allen, and he ironically wrote a book. It's called Getting Things Done. So you're going to hear music in the background and cars in the background. That's obviously from all the traffic that's going by. And there's a lot of joggers that are looking at me like I'm crazy, but you know what? It is what it is. So the way that David Allen actually comes out with the concept of getting things done is that you have to get it done immediately. You know, you have to have priorities, and one of the biggest things that he says is if you could get it done under 2 minutes, then do it. Get it done under 2 minutes. And the reason that he says that is because all we do is we just keep on adding to a to-do list. I am the most guilty person of doing this. You just keep on adding to a to-do list. But what you should do is, if you could do it under 2 minutes, you do it under 2 minutes. If you can't, then you prioritize it. And you really prioritize it with the outcome in mind. So if you have a fear of calling, which I have a fear of calling, that's one of the biggest fears of like a big conversation or calling an owner or just in general. So what he says is have the outcome in mind. The fear will not go away, but it's going to be limited. So that means you're going to consistently know that there's a goal, and the goal at the end of it is I'm going to have a great conversation, I'm going to get a listing, I'm going to get a sale, or whatever your goal is. And in David Allen's case is that he had to create new business. So David Allen actually didn't give the presentation today. A gentleman named Wayne, I hope if he's watching, I forgot his last name, but he was unbelievable. So essentially what he talked about was have the outcome, which is massive, but you also have to have a action-oriented mindset. So what does that mean? That means that, say I'm looking at all these people, they're running around, they're boating, they're jogging, they're on their bike, and their outcome is to be healthy, to be active, to lose weight, to keep in shape, whatever the case is. Their action is to do something that goes along with it. Yeah, it's hard and it's not the easiest thing to do, but essentially when you get more things done, you're on a momentum path. So a perfect example is this. I have a client that, in New York City, I'm in real estate and I have to put together board packages to be submitted to a board. And the biggest thing is actually doing it. Have a client actually get all the paperwork and all of the material, and it could be up to 300 pages, 400 pages, just one board package to get into a building. And there's clients that take 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks, and I keep on hounding them, can you give me this letter, can you do this? And it's just such a hassle to get it. And I recently had a client last year, well, recently is not really last year, but I had a client and it was unbelievable. One of the worst board packages I've ever seen, and by worst, it was the longest. Tons of repetitive information just to get into the board, just to get into the building, to purchase it. And oh, by the way, the board could say no. This guy, and he needed a guarantor. Him and his guarantor got it to me within like a week and a half. It was unbelievable. I remember just sitting down reviewing the board package, and it was amazing. We were just missing like one reference letter. And I remember going to him afterwards, and we're walking out, and I was like, oh, thank you, Mr. Client. And I say, how did you get to this? How'd you get me this board package so fast? And he said, listen, and he had this mindset. He's never been to this, which the actual class is called Getting Things Done. I haven't read the book up to this point, but I did take a bus up here, long story, and it's going to be a 24-hour day, literally not sleeping for 24 hours because now I have a conference right after this. I'm meeting a client and everything else. But he had the mindset of exactly what I just came from, which was if he thinks of it and he could do it under a certain amount of time limit, I don't know what his time limit is, whether it's a minute or 5 minutes, he does it. So in his case, he needed to print out bank statements, he needed to print out tax returns, he can get reference letters and fill out the board package and things like that. And if he thought about it, the act of thinking about it, he did it. A lot of people will actually think about it and not do it. So once you get beyond that mindset of thinking about it, you do it. And that's what he did. He just unbelievable action-oriented mindset. So bank statement, he's like, you know what? Why am I gonna wait? Why am I gonna put it on a to-do list? And I'm guilty as heck to do this. I always put it on a to-do list. My to-do list is unbelievable, but I got so much out of today, which is if you could do something under 2 minutes, make that phone call as my book is gonna fly off the ledge. Make that phone call, print out that document, you know, whatever, you know, something with the project. Everyone has projects. Everyone has, you know, someone said, I've had cleaning my garage on my list for over a year. So the guy said, okay, chunk it down to smaller pieces. Clean the left side for half an hour today. Let's be honest, once you get started on a big project like that, you're gonna wanna clean for an hour or 2 hours or clean the whole thing. And someone said, oh, they're planning a wedding, but they're overwhelmed. He said, just tackle one thing. Focus on the videographer this week, then focus on the photographer next week. But once you think about it, do it. And the biggest thing, which was in regards to email, someone raised their hand and they said they had 26,000 items in their inbox, 26,000. So he said, zero it out. And obviously at 26,000, you can't actually zero it out, but he said anything older than 3 months, put into an archive. Put it all into an archive folder, and then from 3 months to present day, consider that priority. So once you consider that priority, then you start implementing the system. Implementing the system is you get an email, you look at it, you reply, or you do something. You don't just look at it and then just say, okay, I looked at it and I'll get to it later. No. You do it right then and there. He said, which makes total sense, is that at the end of the day, you should be zeroed out at your tasks and your emails, which sounds impossible to a lot of people, and I just started getting involved into this, which is zeroing out my email. Once you zero out your email, it's just this inside kind of deal. It just feels good doing it. So one is when you get an email, you reply. You get a message from Facebook. You get a message from a voicemail. Reply, call them back, listen to it, do something. Don't just leave the voicemail. Don't just leave the email. You have to do something immediately. And by doing something immediately, that's when you get into this action. And have you ever been in that flow, the flow state? I'm actually reading a book called Flow. It's all right, not that good, but it talks about that. Once you're in the flow state, you're going to want to continue the flow state, whether that's you've been going to the gym for 2 months, you've been running for 2 months, you've been zeroing out your emails. And by zeroing out my emails or your emails, you pretty much know that by the end of the day, you've replied to all the emails, or that you have at least archived all the emails. So what I do is I go to my email, I reply. If I don't reply or I need to put it in a folder, then I put it into a folder, but I delete it, but I put it into a folder for later. That's the biggest thing. So you need to get into a different mindset, which is exactly what anyone needs to do. We're overwhelmed with devices and to-do lists and, you know, the dings and the beeps and everything just takes your attention away. So what I recommend, and listen, I didn't think of this. This was exactly from David Allen and his book, and I'm going to say it again. It's a great book. He actually gave it out at the seminar. Hopefully I'm still zoomed in. I'm looking at the feature and everything else. And by the way, this was the biggest fear. I'm going to admit something. I walked up and down this promenade, which is on the Charles River, and there's Harvard boats in the background, is that I was fearful to actually do this in public, actually talk in public. And you know what? Because I did it, and by the way, this is the second day of doing a 1 video a day for a year. It feels great, and I feel everywhere I go, I'm going to need to bring my camera and my equipment, and I don't know if you can see it, but my microphone is on my shirt, so that's how you can easily hear me. Hopefully there's not too much vibration. I'll move it to this side so it's not rubbing against my shirt. But anyway, David Allen, highly recommend the book, Getting Things Done, and there's obviously a lot more things that I want to talk about, but you know what, I feel really good that I actually did the video. So one of the things that one of the the guys that I play hockey with says every day he tries to go into an uncomfortable situation and make himself comfortable. So I put myself in an uncomfortable situation, which is talking in public to a camera that's sitting on a ledge on the Charles River in Boston and having traffic, runners, bikers. You know, there's like 5 or 10 students behind me on a dock just sitting down looking at me. There's other people over there. So that was a fear that I accomplished because I said, listen, put yourself in an uncomfortable position. I could easily sit on a bench and just, you know, talk to myself really quiet. But you know what? I put myself in an uncomfortable position. So put yourself in an uncomfortable position. Zero out your emails. Buy the book, because this is the biggest thing. You need freedom in your life. You need your time back. That's what everyone wants, is their time back. And everyone majors in minor things. I know that's a cliche and everyone's heard it before, but it's true. And it's a slight edge concept, which Slight Edge is another book by Michael Olson. I think it's Michael Olson. Unbelievable book. It says that you have to increment little steps at it each day. Otherwise, you're dying. You're living or you're dying. You're not plateauing. If you're plateauing, that means you're dying, because other people are getting better, like myself and you. So anyway, follow me on Instagram. Obviously, subscribe to my videos. I felt the fear. I did it anyway. Hope you're enjoying the videos. By the time you check back on this video, you've probably, I guess they're so important because there's a bunch of cops with their heads out of the window. I guess they're escorting me. Anyway, hope all is well, and I'll talk to you on the next video, which is awesome. I get to control on my phone the live view, and as it comes up, look at that. Look how cool that is. Doo-doo. So I could zoom in and I could stop, and hopefully it was perfectly aligned. But anyway, second video of many. Talk to you soon.